Well, dealing with groups and submixes in Ableton Live is a little bit different than other digital audio workstations. Ableton Live is, in my opinion, geared more toward a project studio or a single producer making their own stuff. And although you can end up using a lot of tracks generally, for me at least, in Ableton, it's a mix as you go kind of thing. So dealing with groups and tracks in the mix is not too difficult to do when I'm working, just on my own stuff. But however, I'm working on one here that's it's got about 20 orchestral tracks to it, and I needed some way to group these and submix them. And Ableton Live doesn't really have submixes. It does a really good job of grouping tracks. However, you could end up with a whole lot of different groups on your screen, and it would be kind of difficult to mix these groups together, and you can't really group groups, so you're kind of stuck there. But what I've found, which is kind of useful to do here, is to get your groups going here. And for instance, I've got several different groups here. I've got violas, which I have 3 tracks in that. I've got 4 tracks of violins, and then here in the trombones I've got 2 tracks of trombones. But I've got them all grouped together into groups. But then, sure, I can go through and do a good balance between all of the brass instruments. But once you've got that balance between those instruments, you might need to just take that whole brass section and, in a subgroup, be able to handle it. So here's what I'm doing to do the subgroups. Here in the in this output section, what you'll find is that you can send it to the master output or the master bus, or in this case, what I'm going to do is do it to sends only, and then because I'm using the return number B for brass, I would come up here and fully send this to brass, which is B right there. And so what I can do then is I can have all of my brass instruments going to the brass return. I can have all of my string instruments going to the strings return, which is A. And then if I've got a good balance in, say, the string section or in the brass section, if I need to handle that separately in a mixed group or a subgroup or whatever you want to call it, submix, I can come down here and deal with it right here to be able to work the volume that way in the mix. So hopefully this gives you a little pointer on that and helps you out, just a slight little kind of trick that I'm using. If you find anything else that works similar to this or a better way to do it, go ahead and message me in there and let me know.